to all my colleagues, do not walk alone. Connect with people. Create a community, create your tribe, find your individuals, find your people. We're not alone. Learn from one another.
Welcome to the Private Chef podcast, serving the 1%. I'm your host, Hannes Henche, and on our show we speak to the best chefs, how they honed in on their skills to excel in the industry, and what it takes to work as a private chef for some of the most exclusive clients in the world. Welcome back to the Private Chef podcast. I'm your host, Hannes Henche, and today we have a very special guest, Clara Molina. She's been in the private industry for almost 30 years. She's an estate manager for ultra high net worth families and is an expert in event coordination. Clara also advocates for women empowerment, not only within the industry. So in this episode, we'll be talking about her exciting career journey and success in the private service industry. I'm so glad to finally have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Hello, everyone.
Of course. I mean, someone with so much experience as yourself, it's truly a gem to, get to share and learn from you. So I'm excited to have this conversation.
I'm happy to be here and share, give my 2 cents. And I'm all about leaving a legacy. So I'm in that place right now, where I believe in education, and I want to reach out to others, the new generation, to create a community.
I like that. And that's very much, why this podcast exists, because I want to document, the lessons learned, not only by myself, but everybody else that's been part of the industry like yourself for many decades, and share that with the next generation of private service professionals.
Yes, I believe in knowledge, and I believe in mentorship. And there's lately, after 2020, gave us the opportunity. We made lemons, we made lemonade out of lemons. That life gave us at that moment worldwide. Everybody faced the pandemic, and it was before and after the pandemic, and in the private service industry took the opportunity to regroup, and several social platforms, educational platforms were built, where we were able to be part of. One of them that is deep in my heart is called East Makers. The East Makers community is completely free. You can sign up if you're a leader in the private service industry. We have been able to not only network, but create a community of colleagues in private service. Again, we believe in education. We share with one another. To be honest, I'm very thrilled to share about our communities because in the years that you mentioned I have of experience, my journey, my professional journey was very lonely. I didn't have a lot of people to come home and talk to. I have, of course, friends that we could unwind with, but they will never understand what you're talking about because they're not part of the industry. But once you connect with your colleagues that are speaking and have walked the walk, that have similar situations, and understand words like boundaries, gaslighting, toxic relationships, all these situations, then you feel like you have found your community, And so I do encourage everyone not to walk this journey alone. Don't isolate yourself. And that's another thing that I love to talk about, normalize the conversation on mental health. And as you know, as a chef is, get a toll, a very stressful load, go, and very demanding situations. And we have to take care of ourselves. And in this case, we're doing it connecting with others.
Yeah, 100%. And And I've really learned this and appreciated the many conversations I had with private professionals, whether it's in the meetup group we have or like this. There's something you can only share with people that been in the ditch, and because people just get it. You say something, you mention something, and there's this deep level of understanding, of mutual understanding, and that's something that you can only find in a community of people that have done what you've been through too.
Exactly. It's almost like there's a Chinese language, that only you guys can understand or have gone through. That is the amazing part of a community, they're completely relate with what you've gone through, or can give you an advice of a situation that you're going through. That's why it's important to find mentorship, and to be also available to be a mentor, for not just future generations. I'm privileged to have my little tribe, my little group of ladies that we talk to each other, and everybody's in different states, different time zones, and we find the time to connect. We find the time to ask questions, to educate each other, to be real. And I think it's important, to be real with each other and say, I need help. And that is very brave of one to say, I don't understand. Can you please advise me on how you manage the situation that I'm going through, and assist one another? There's a lot of power in that, and saying, I'm not able to deal with this by myself. You've been in my shoes. Or what would you do if you were in this situation? Because we all speak the same language.
Yeah. So who were some of your original mentors? How did your journey in the private space start?
Oh, I think, like I mentioned before, my journey, my professional journey has been very, very lonely. I did not have anybody in Nashville, for example, to reach out to ask questions. My journey has been on try and error, pretty much. Try something, and okay, that doesn't work, then try something else. But once 2020 comes around, and I'm privileged enough to be part of Eastmakers, and I found my community. I was able to ask questions. I was able to be open, to reach out to people, and other people reach out to me, and we were on the same pool, and we were all so excited. It's like being in high school and invited to the party for the first time. What are you gonna wear? That was us. And I can tell you, I'm not the only one. There's been a lot of a bunch of people that rejoices in the opportunity, to have one another. That is pretty much. I cannot tell you one name or two names because it's a group effort,
Yep.
One person shares specific things, and then you have the choice to reach out to that person and say, hey, I've gone through that. Can we talk? And that's how we're connecting. That's how we're networking. Some other people that reach out to say, hey, I want to do what you're doing. What can I do? And then you reach back and say, okay, don't do this for sure. And everybody has a different environment. It has unique qualities, skills. But that's how coming together and encouraging everyone to learn new things, learn new skills, prepare ourselves, and highlight the uniqueness in each of us has helped me, not just me, but help us motivate each other, to reach greater, status and levels in our industry.
Yeah. So how did you originally get into the private industry, given that it's rather a niche? What was your segue in originally?
Oh, I need to write a book about how I started in the private service industry. Long story short, to be in private service, you have to have a servant heart, for sure. You have to be discreet. You have to have confidence and integrity. You have to have experience, all of us, no matter who it is. And I can tell you this for sure. Leaders in our industry have gone through very tough situations. Again, we have sometimes to walk through those challenging situations to learn and to grow. So my personal journey was one of my degrees was early childhood educator. So I'm a kindergarten teacher by trade. That was my profession in Mexico. I came to the United States as an au pair. So I was living with a family, an American family, as a au pair / nanny. And so I pretty much just paid my dues. I started from the very bottom of our industry. So I went from being a nanny and being recognized. And I was very lucky of my principals or families back then to say, you can do better, you can do more, and believing in me and encouraging me and pushing me to going further, because they recognize that I have talent, that I have unique skills. I like kids. I don't have my own. I never saw myself as a mother, but I love kids and I keep in touch with most of them. When I took care of them, they were 2-3 years old, now in college, and they're calling me to go to their graduation. And it's a big satisfaction. So in total, I was not personally a mother, but as a professional, I have about 30 kids, to look after. Always keep that. But yeah, after that, I became a family assistant, personal assistant, a house manager. I never did executive assistant. I knew my limitations and I knew what made me happy, and sitting behind a desk doing paperwork never have, fulfill my life. I wanted to be a complete human being. And that, like I said, sitting behind a desk wasn't my calling. I'm more creative. I'm more hands-on, and I'm like a problem solver. And being a problem solver was one of the skills that my families in the past recognized, and the reason why they pushed me to pursue better and greater things in life. So from escalating, and learning in every single position has given me the opportunity now to train others that are working under me, because I've gone through that journey. I've been there. So I'm able to, I was never actually a housekeeper, but being a nanny, I was able to see how housekeepers were managed and how the right way to do things and the wrong way to do things. And how to lead and how not to. So now I'm able to connect with the nannies, the governors, the house cleaners, the driver, chauffeur, chef, and everyone, because I was in the back of the play, I was backstage, seeing and hearing everybody's opinion on how they were feeling, if they were being managed and lead with pride, or in the right direction, and what not to do, because I was sitting there with them. So now I pride myself in promoting teamwork, respect, communication, motivation for one another. You are as good as your team. And I will say that till the day I die. You train your team to have a successful household. That's pretty much an easy formula. They're happy, you're happy, they're representing you, and you're representing your principal, having an excellent team. That's the only way that you could advance and present a successful household where everything is running smoothly. So your team are happy, and they're well taken care of. This Christmas, for the first time, and we will talk about it later, but I'm in a situation where I have my own business right now, and I was able to reach out to some of my clients and say, I would like you to consider, sending a Christmas bonus to the housekeepers that have helped us and been loyal to us, during this year. And they did. They did. And now I have other colleagues, even yesterday, that are reaching out and like, well, my principal didn't give me a bonus. I say, did you ask for it? And there's ways to ask. You have to be correctly asking. Why? Because sometimes they're so busy. Sometimes they just forgot. Not that they don't want to give you, but they just sometimes forgot about it, In this case, when I was able to write an email and say, I will suggest, for you to consider to give something, back to what our housekeeping team has helped us and reward the loyalty that they have given us. They did. And I was very surprised. They gave me something too. I'm always grateful for that. But the moment you recognize the hard work of our every single position in our household as a leader, you have to represent not just the principal, but you also representing your team. And you have a privileged position with your principal where you can bring the prices to them. And I will highly recommend my colleagues out there, don't take credit for your teamwork. I have experience being humble and saying, when the principal comes to you and say, excellent job, you did amazing this special event. And as I always bring my team up front, I cannot take all the credit. This group of people make it possible for us. I was just overlooking. We have to learn to delegate, but we also need to train them and give them the skills and highlight their own unique skills and trust them that they're doing their job. Our household is like an engine. All the parts in a motor in an engine had to work together to produce something, to make the automobile move. So we're there.
Like a well-oiled machine.
Exactly.
I think one of the things that you touched up on is training people well, but also trusting them. And I think one of the things that throws a lot of frustration in people is if they feel they're continuously being micromanaged or making it's almost like they're making feel like idiots, because everything is constantly like, oh, this, like this, and then why would you hire a professional if you then feel like at every single step you need to micromanage them?
It's important that you sit down with them and explain that it's not micromanaging. You have to create a balance. You have to trust them, but because you train them. Okay, you went from A to C and say this is the way. You give them a manual. You gave them instructions, and you have to set them free for them to do their best and rise up to the expectations. On the other hand, they also need to have the conversation to say, I'm here to support you. Welcome to the team. we all have to work together. And I'm here in leadership position, not just to support you, but I have to bring good results to the principal. The things that the end result has to be checked and checked again and double checked again.
Yeah.
Some people will get it. And those are the people that you want to nurture and keep in your team. Everybody's different, but the small details as to say, thank you, please, just basic manners, But I go a little bit farther, and everybody, like I said, is different. I have friends that create games and, create a fun environment between the household members of the team. I like to bring them little presents, like a box of donuts, like unexpected surprises, or come on, everybody, let's go to the movies. For them to understand that it's not just work. I need you. You're here because I need you. But when they're here, that they are valued by you and by the principal, and make the principal with the position that you have, the privileged position that you have the principal's ears, that you can say, will you consider, in this case, the bonus, but will you consider having a Christmas party or celebrate our staff on their birthday? Will you set the bill, for the cake? No problem. Those are the small details that it's not so difficult to make people feel important, especially the people that we trust, the people that we work with every day. We spend a lot of time with them. We want to make them feel special. Tell me someone that doesn't want to feel special. We need to highlight their skills. Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, I think that's so true what you're saying. And it's true for everybody, whether it's the landscaper or the housekeeper or the chef, everybody likes to feel appreciated and, just be a valued team member. And I think this is really where a household wins or kind of loses, because if the team doesn't huddle together and where people don't build strong ties as a team and help each other and appreciate each other, and when they don't feel appreciated, I think this is really when the job also becomes more of an obligation. While certain positions can certainly feel very energizing, and especially if you work with the right people. I think a lot of it is, whether it's the principals or the other staff members, it's so much about the people and how they come together.
Exactly. I think as a word, we have forgot about kindness. The world needs more kindness. And if we can extend kindness to our team members, that's awesome. Now, you were talking about micromanaging. There's some people that are not going to get it. No matter how much you reach out, over the table, they're not going to get it. I hate micromanaging, to be honest. But, you said, you brought up the conversation. I had this conversation with one of my clients last week, and I told her I hate to micromanage, because in that moment, I trusted someone to do their job while I was doing something else. And I'm going to blame it on the holiday season, right? I was busy and concentrated on something else, Christmas related, and I didn't check on this individual. But also I have to tell my client, I hate to micromanage. I was trusting that person was going to do their job, like we spoke. But then I have to realize, this person is a new member. I didn't take the time. I failed as a leader to explain to him, to take the time. Why? Again, because it was in the middle of the holidays. This person came on board in a just busy time of year, and I'm going to be honest with you. in this part of Florida, I'm in the very north. If you think of Florida like an arm, okay, I'm in the very shoulder of Florida. So a lot of money is being moved here. Alice Beach is considered one of the, or the new Palm Beach, very selective property area, where houses, the cheapest one is $6-7 million. Unfortunately, we don't have the people, trained individuals in the private service here yet. And I have faced the situation where I have to explain to people, we are a team. This is how a household is managed. They have no idea. They know that they're famous people, that they're rich people, they're wealthy people, successful people. They know that. But coming into a formula as a part of a team is foreign to them. They don't understand that someone like me is going to tell them what to do, that they don't have no business talking to the client. They have no business talking to the owner of the house because they have their important things to deal with. And I'm here to free their time. I'm here to manage the contractors. I'm here to check on their work. And they insist on talking to the client and to the principal. And you have to sit down and explain, this is not how we manage things. This is not how rich people want to deal with you. They don't have time for you. And know that you're not important. You're a contractor. In this case, it was a pool person, right? That was coming into the equation. The old person had to be fired because it was very rude to the client. And the client keeps coming back to me and saying, oh, he's very rude. I'm like, well, let me get rid of that person for you. And I did. I mean, you have to say, listen, there's a way to say things. So we let that person go. We bring this new person on board and very capable, seems very professional. A lot of people recommended that person to me. But again, I was distracted doing my holy jelly Christmas stuff for other clients. And I let this individual down because I didn't take the time to explain how we're going to manage this. So he insisted, if I'm not talking to the client, I'm not talking to anyone. So he pretty much refused to talk to me. And the client had to sit down with him and say, listen, she's in charge of my house and you deal with her because I have more important things to do. So when we get to that situation, then you have to decide, do we keep this member? Is it worth to train them? Now it's not all about you. You also have to create a communication and a bridge to say, do you want to be part of the team? Are you willing to be part of your team? Are you willing to put the work on it? And we learn from this experience, we can move on. Or in this case, this person was like, well, I'm not available and I'm not working that way. And decided that wasn't his thing. So
but
again.
What is the guy's issue? I mean, why wouldn't he listen to you? Why is it so important for him to speak to the principal?
It's a contractor, it's an independent contractor that was coming to manage a pool. Every pool is different. You have no idea, as they are many shoes, styles and colors and heights of shoes. There's the same case with pools. Every pool, it has a system. Every pool has a unique way to maintain. And also we're dealing with the principle that wants the pool at certain temperature in certain way. So these independent contractors deal with, again, all these wealthy people. And some of them have the opportunity to deal with them directly. They don't have a house manager. They don't have an estate manager. Or the only person that the pool person or contractor has deal ever is with the chief of staff. They don't even know sometimes
who
the principal or the owner of the house is.
Yeah.
They don't like to meet them because they're actually there when the client or the owner is not there. But in this case, I'm an independent contractor myself. I have my own business, and I like to kind of open the door and say, okay, this is a free will thing. This is the principal or the owner of the house. I'm going to be in charge, but there's always, a direct access. So for my principal, in this case, his principal say, it's okay, I'll deal with them. We just have to be flexible. That's all it is. Every client is different. As they have different needs, they also have different personalities. And some people like to be hands-on. Also, because it's new money, because they don't have a chief of staff, because they have 7 residences and they think they can deal with the management themselves. Sometimes you also, I've never been in that position where I'm a principal, and I have 7 houses.
Yeah.
But yeah, people that work hard for what they have, sometimes they want to manage, what they have in their hands and be present. So good for them.
Sounds like a nightmare to me to manage my own 7 houses. I would gladly give up on one of the houses and have somebody manage the other 6.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. This situation is presented often when the wife doesn't work. So instead of being in a gym or playing tennis all day, the wife decides, okay, my role is managing 7 houses. And sometimes it's overwhelming. I have clients that says, I cannot deal with this myself. I don't know what to do. I'm just, people are quitting right and left. Why? Because there's no training, because there's no onboarding, because there's no the coaching, it's usually new money and they don't want to deal with that. Or people that say, why am I going to pay somebody to do what I can do? I don't want to call them cheap, but you will be saving a lot of headaches if you hire someone that has experience managing a home. But some females that I have encountered, unfortunately and very sadly, their value as a human being, in this case as a wife, depends on how they're managing. Here in the United States.
Yeah. How do you deal with such women and that think that they can manage that and they don't understand the entire scope and the professionalism behind the team? And I think in instances it actually probably destroys the ambience and it makes the house run less smoothly or efficient, because instead of someone like you who has procedures and understands this is a professional environment where people need to be treated professionally, it's someone who actually is like, okay, this is my home, I'm sitting on the couch here, but at the same time I'm supposed to kind of manage this team, and I might not be qualified to do that other than me having the money to pay for them.
How do I deal with that, people? Well, every client is different. You have to have a lot of kindness still, and communication. It's all about communication and respect. You listen. You have to be conscious of everybody's different and everybody's needs are different from each other. As a private service provider, you become a almost like a psychologist. You're not just the person managing their home, but you're also listening to their problems. That's why it's very important to for them to find loyal people that are discreet, that won't share things. I have clients that have say, but please don't share anything that I just shared with you. I say, how many stories of former clients have you heard from me? And they say, nobody. I'm like, I have so many, but I'm not going to share them. So thank you so much for trusting me with your stuff. not just your house and your family, but your personal stuff. Be sure that I won't ever share this with you. Like the communication is key for all this. You just have to listen. Funny story, I have a client over the holidays that fired me. She fired me. She said, I cannot deal with this. She was so stressed out. So I cannot deal with this. I don't want to hear anything about it. I don't think we're working together. An hour later, she was asking me, she apologized and she said, please come back to work for me. So as she fired me on the spot, she hired me on the spot again, and I was able to be there for a nice holiday celebration for her and 9 members of her family. You need to understand, I know we're all humans and we also have our needs as private service providers, but we're dealing with another level of stress when we're dealing with principals. They all want something different. You just have to breathe, calm down, and put yourself in the other person's shoes.
Yeah.
And just try to be there. Anticipating need. That's one of my modules. You have to anticipate the need. You have to have plan A, B, C, D, and beyond. If you have to anticipate the problem, how am I going to solve the problem? Because I can come to the principal or my clients to say, well, the pipes burst. What is the client going to do from Texas? Nothing. I'm the one in charge. I'm the one local. I'm the one taking care of their residents. So your pipes burst. We can do this, and that. What would you like to do? And you give them the choice, but you're giving them options.
Yeah.
You're not just throwing the problem of the situation on the lap. You're the one that is on the ground running. And as you run, you start grabbing solutions, as you know. We have to be prepared. Yeah, you have to meditate a lot to keep your cool and your calm, because you're in the middle of a circle, you're dealing with the principal, but you're dealing with your team and the contractors.
You have to be like in the center of a storm. The center is very calm and everything around is going haywire, and you still have to remain your cool.
That's why it's important to delegate for a peace of mind too. We cannot, I also have another say, it says, ninjas and all, we're still humans at the end of the day. Yes, we perform as ninjas. We do most of the time, and I've seen colleagues that are amazing and I admire them so much. But at the end of the day, we're still humans. We get tired, we get sick, we get stressed out as well.
Yeah. And actually, the more stressed out we get, the more sick we might get. Yes, and that is actually what's going to lead us to hybrid jobs. It's important to recognize the important role that the agencies and recruiters play. I hope that sooner or later they come together, all the agencies and recruiters, and talk about these. And I think the conversation is starting because of the social platforms that are being created for us, the providers, where we are exchanging and talking with each other. And we're finally saying, oh, that happened to me too. Oh my goodness, I have that experience with that recruiter. And exchanging, that's why recruiters and agencies are finally talking. And what we're talking here is about the stress that we're getting from hybrid jobs. And I will highly invite everyone to tune to the second State Management Network conference. Last year was amazing. I had the opportunity to meet and network and connect with amazing leaders in our industry. This year, I have the privilege, and I was very surprised that Kimberly Varney, who leads
private estate management network reached out to me and invited me to be part of the Bay team on hybrid jobs. She believes that I have a unique perspective, and my take on this debate is going to be on education, boundaries, and education and communication. We need all three. We need the combination of all three. And the reason why I was bringing in the agencies and recruiters is because it's their job to educate the principal regarding hybrid jobs. There's some hybrid jobs that work together and some hybrid jobs that don't make sense at all. And that will cause stress. Stress leads to sickness, leads to being burned out. It leads to a constant hiring of several individuals for the same position. Yeah. And we know those agencies and recruiters that we don't want to work with anymore. A year ago after the conference, when I was able to connect with people, I said, give our industry 2 years. This conversation is going to happen. And it's happening. We're taking baby steps. We're getting there. We're bringing I rejoice in this situation where we are communicating with each other, networking with each other, creating a community. We're bringing our industry to a different level, to a higher level. We're evolving. It's a very powerful word, evolve. We're evolving to a different level, and we're bringing everybody with us. We're not just trying to raise higher levels, stepping on each other. We're all coming together. That is the difference with the private service industry on 2023. I told people a year ago, I said, just wait, give it 2 years. A lot of those recruiters and agencies are not going to survive the evolution of what is about to happen. I don't want to not bring any or attack any agency in specific, but the fact that they understand that educating the principal is basic, not just for them to realize that it's not about a paycheck, that they're getting a commission after finding someone to fill 3 jobs. They need to sit down with the principal and say, thank you for your business. I hear what you want. I personally need to tell you, this job, and this job are 3 different positions with 3 different salaries. Either the principal is not aware of it, maybe doesn't want to see it and save some money. It could be so many things. But it is the job of the recruiter to educate and communicate that to the principal. And for the principal to say, I'll take it or not. Now I'm saying, okay, if he doesn't want to pay, then feel free to do it yourself. You cannot hire. There's some jobs that go together that could be, it could be, I don't want to say mixed, but it complement with each other. Yeah. If it's one individual, the principal is one individual, and he requires a house manager, a chef, or cook, because chef is a higher level, with more instruction and more, more recipes and, education. But a house manager, a cook, and a driver. You're not going to be driver 8 hours every day. Occasionally you're going to drive the principal, single principal. If it's a family of 6 people and they're expected to play 3 roles, being the nanny, being the estate manager, and being the landscaper, please be realistic. You need to understand those are 3 different roles. A nanny cannot take care of the garden. Maybe if it's one person or with one child and the child likes to play in the garden, maybe they both can create that. Everyone is different. Everyone has different needs. You get there through communication. That's all. Get to know your principal. But the only way that you could do it, and again, I'm going back to the agencies and recruiters. They need to understand that they're not only representing the principal, they're representing us.
Yeah.
That's easy.
Yeah, and I think there's definitely some agencies, and the way it worked for me when I originally started, I contacted agencies because I didn't know the good ones from the bad ones yet. But the experience for me was very like, okay, they don't care for me. They just want to get the commission. And there are some people who actually like, hey, okay, here is Hannes. That's who he is as a person. And this family will be a good match for him. And they actually, try to make a good match instead of just forwarding my resume and forwarding me so they can get a check for their commission. And I think that will kind of sort itself out the way you said, because now we exchange that knowledge online. We come together as a community, and people kind of know who or which agency is playing these ways, and others. I mean, everything is referral based at some point. Even like if I'm a chef and I had a really good experience with a certain agency, obviously anybody that I want to feel taken care of, I'll be like, hey, please make sure to speak to these people because they care for you as a human being, and they want to make good matches.
Yeah, I think that was a conversation, like I mentioned a year ago. We want to highlight those recruiters, and we want to highlight and support those agencies that are supporting us back.
Yeah.
I'm privileged to have wonderful recruiters in the beginning of my career that they took me under their wing. They helped me with my resume. They answered all my questions. They gave me advice. Unfortunately, it's not happening. I don't know what it is. That maybe they're getting overwhelmed. They're dealing with another kind of clients. I don't know what it is. Everybody's different. Okay. And I don't want to just point all our fingers to the recruiters in this case, but they are so important. There's essential part in our industry. And you said something very meaningful. There are the long-lasting matches. It's important that, and I know recruiters understand this because I talked to several of them, and they agree. For them to create long-lasting matches and create good chemistries, you as a chef, and matching you, pairing you with a good principal that loves French cuisine, and you are an excellent French chef, you're making a good match. You need also to recognize and realize that you have your personality. The principal has a personality. Sometimes they're going to match, like a match made in heaven. Sometimes they're going to bump heads, because you have a way to do things, and he has a way. He thinks he's right, and this is the right way to do it. And it's like a relationship.
Yeah.
I was talking actually with another colleague a couple of days ago. Yeah, and she was telling me, as many other people, I do have my PTSD moments. Everyone has them, small or big ones, things that we will never do again. We have to learn to move on. And she was a little stuck in that situation. Say, as your friend, as your colleague, I told her, I need to tell you that you need to look at this principal last experience like a former ex-boyfriend. That was a toxic relationship, and you need to move on. That's it. Learn. We need to learn and need to move forward, right? That's the only thing. Those are the challenges that life gives us. We have to learn and be wiser and keep growing, because stuck in the past is not going to help us to move forward and to help us to grow.
Yeah, I mean, you can't drive a car looking in the rearview mirror. No, you have to look forward into the future.
Exactly. I think you posted something beautifully, but on LinkedIn, I like I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was very inspiring. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm all since I was a little girl. I love quotes.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, you share like a quote a day, and many of them, I really take them to heart. It's it's good to see that, because they're really they're really touching.
Well, I'm going to confess something to you, and I will share it with people that reach out and say, "Oh my Lord, thank you for sharing that. I really love it. I'm looking forward for your quotes." And say, "Listen, I did it for me. When I started posting quotes, it was for me, because I believe that you can speak to yourself as the same way that we train our legs, our arms to be stronger and have energy. It's the same way that you can train your brain. You step in front of the mirror and you say, you're powerful, you're capable, you are unique, you are skilled. Go out there and conquer the world." And because of those quotes that have built me up, that have helped, I say, I'm going to put them out there, because I'm sure there's one person. If I can reach one person today, I will be putting a seed in the ground. That is my way to leave my legacy. I'm just reposting from other people. I'm not trying to create a brand. I'm not 17. I'm not cool. I'm not creating a brand. I'm just leaving a legacy. This is my legacy. These quotes inspire me. And I think this quote will be inspiring someone else in our private service industry. That's my thought. And so many times,
you definitely, many of them touch me. So at least once a week, twice a week, I'm one of your seeds. So your seed planting is definitely happening.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very rewarding, to be honest, because at some point in your life, you look back and say, what have I accomplished? You realize that a brand new car doesn't make you happy. A brand new dress or shoes won't make you happy. What makes you happy at the end of the day is leaving a legacy, is making the difference, is reaching out to one another, is living kindness, training someone else, and like I shared with some close friends, to say, I will never post anything that I don't believe myself, that I haven't done or experienced myself. I have started writing something on the quote, my own thoughts, and I'm like, oh, that hasn't happened to me. I deleted it because I need to walk the walk. I need to be honest with myself first before I can share with someone else. Otherwise, I will become a pretty picture on the wall, and I don't want to be that. My goal is leaving a legacy. That's all I want. I don't want to create a brand.
Yeah. Well, you're blending. I'm not sure if you've heard about that, but there is it's a fascinating story, and it just came to my mind when you said planting seeds. There is, I believe he's a farmer. So there's a father in India, and there was a patch of land which wasn't very green, and what he did for, I guess it must have been pretty much his entire life, for like decades and the decades. He went there every other day and planted saplings. And over the span of his lifetime, he basically planted an entire forest. And not only did he plant the forest, the green coverage, the trees and everything that grew there also brought back the birds, and the birds brought back the mammals. And he basically nurtured an entire ecosystem simply by planting seeds or saplings every other day.
I think everybody has something to say. Everybody has a contribution to share. Sometimes we have to be quiet and listen. You never know what you're going to learn from one another. It doesn't have to be somebody with a lot of power or privilege. I've learned things from an individual that doesn't have its only opposite spectrum. We all have something to contribute to this world, to our lives, but we have to make a decision. am I going to make the difference? What am I leaving behind? Because I was a Girl Scout, and I think people will relate to this quote of BP, it says, leave the world in a better way than you find it. And that has always been, one of my my things, leave the world in a better way. We saw the FIFA, the Japanese picking up trash. It made me think of that. What do you have? You didn't throw the trash. You don't have to pick it up, but they make the difference. They chose to do it. They made a decision, and the world was there to see. In a world where we are not recycling, in a world where we killing our trees, in a world where we need to be responsible of ecosystem. The Japanese picking up trash brought a specific message and a different message to everyone who was open to listen.
Yeah, that was very, very inspiring to see. Not only the fans, but also the soccer players of the team, of the Japanese soccer team. They left the locker room like spotless, like you could literally just go in and use it again. While I'm pretty sure that many other teams, the rooms looked quite wild afterwards.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to be in Japan, and I can tell you the Japanese culture is a different level. We all have something unique to share with each other. Yeah, I don't know. I can share so many quotes about that, but just I encourage everybody not just to meditate, but when we're having a conversation, listen, create that exchange of ideas, let it flow, not just try to teach, but welcome, because there's always something new to learn. We need to connect, and making connections with other people is not just about networking, but about creating a community. That's how we rise to higher levels, to evolve to higher levels. And that's what our industry in the private service is doing. We're finally creating a community with chefs, with housekeepers, with chief of staff, with house managers. We're creating education. We're changing experiences with one another, good and bad. The bads are for us to understand that we're not alone, that we are not the only ones, that there's somebody else that understands our pain. Because a lot of private service providers are suffering of PTSD because of toxic abuse, and understand why we allow that to happen, but how can we heal is more important.
Yeah. Well, Clara, strong words. This was very, very inspiring. I must say, this was an awesome conversation with you. And where can people connect with you? You mentioned that you're very active on LinkedIn. Where can people connect with you? Yeah. Read your quotes.
Yes, I think LinkedIn is a beautiful platform that has given me personally the opportunity just to put my 2 cents out there, and express something that will inspire, hopefully, or motivate some other people. But I would highly encourage you, if you're in the private service industry, connect with the communities that are out there. Eastmakers is deeply in my heart, that has created an amazing difference in me personally. There's a lot of education and tools that we can use. I love to share stuff. I'm working on an article to post, but there's also a state management network. And I just want to also encourage my colleagues out there, prepare yourself. Talk to one another. If you want to learn about compensation for a new job, reach out to people. People are willing to sit down and talk to you and listen what your concerns are. If you want to hear about Christmas bonus, if you want to hear about how to set boundaries, how to sit down for a perfect interview, how to write a great resume, what are the things that you should put and not to, house manuals, travel experiences, how you can, there's so many ways that we can prepare ourselves. I just finished, I was very honored to be part of the International Butler School from Madrid, Spain. 90% of the classes in Spanish, bilingual, and my first language is Spanish. But I learned so much. I learned so much on luxury service. I will encourage you, even if you don't have the opportunity to register in school, learn, read. There's free videos on YouTube. There's so many tools that you can learn, different languages, different recipes, different crafting, gardening, anything and everything you can get your hands on, learn.
Yeah.
Because there's always out there someone that will require, and you always be ready. You be ready. Learn about leadership, learn about communication, learn about public speaking, learn about mental health. You never know when you can use all these skills. Just prepare yourself. Be the MacGyver.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I feel like there are so many skills that might look random in my life, but in some they came to use in my positions, where I'm like, I was capable of doing things that had nothing to do with my original job description, but they were very useful. And I think having a lot of skills and common sense is just a great thing in our industry. It's a great asset.
I think you say something very important. Common sense mixed with education, it can put you in very privileged positions. Always finding ways where you can learn. It doesn't have to be pricey. It doesn't have to. Exchange a knowledge with a colleague. Or you know how to do keto recipes. I know how to do vegetarian. It's very similar, but let's exchange notes, right? Yep. You can always learn something new. I was a child that when somebody asked me what I wanted to be when I was a child, what do you want to be when you grow up? I either want to be a ballerina or later on in life, I want to be a underwater explorer, like this Jacques Cousteau.
Yeah.
And the reason why I gave those answers was because I have no idea. And why? Because I liked to do so many things. There were so many things as a child that I was enjoying. And I didn't feel like explaining to people, and I didn't know back then how to explain it even, I don't know what I'm going to do. But saying I want to be a ballerina was kind of like, so funny, and move on. I didn't have to sit down and explain to people. I'm interested in so many things. I love to paint. I love to cook. In life also, but in situations, where we have to prepare ourselves with all of those things. I was at some point in my life, and early adulthood, I was like, what am I going to do with my life? I love to do all these little things. It's nothing to do with this thing with this thing. And now that I work with private service industry, I'm like, wow.
It all comes together. So many different random things.
Nothing is by mistake. I'm telling you that. All those knowledges that I thought were random, didn't make any sense or combine with one another. I'm like, what? How am I gonna use this skill, to get money? I don't get it. I didn't understand. And I have also this other skill that I highly enjoy. How am I gonna produce money? How am I gonna sustain myself? And surprise, here comes private service industry, and now I can use them all. There's always a for your life. We're here with a purpose. And no matter how deep dark of the hole you are, there's always a solution. Reach out to people for any problem. And when you're stuck, reach out to someone. The first step is to be brave and ask for help. To say, I recognize I don't know at all. I think that put us in a very, in that moment, vulnerable position. But you have no idea the blessings that you be giving someone else to reach out for you. Because you never know, they probably were in that position themselves, and they'll be honored and happy to reach out and pull you out. We are not here alone. And I encourage you again, to all my colleagues, to not walk alone. Connect with people. Create a community, create your tribe, find your individuals, find your people. We're not alone. Learn from one another. That's my thought for today.
I love it. Clara, thank you so much for taking the time to sharing all of those insights, and not only about the service industry, but really about life. It's so much deeper what you shared and what you care for in life. And there's really that true sense of human connection shining through. So I appreciate you for that, for who you are, not only for what you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We have to remember that we're not dealing with machines or computers, We're dealing with people. And kindness should always be present in everything we do. Thank you so much for the opportunity to have me here. And it was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you for joining us at the Private Chef podcast. If you know any highly skilled chefs that want to take their life to the next level, make sure to share this podcast with them. And if you enjoyed this episode, click subscribe and check out our upcoming episodes. Thank you for listening.